guys, welcome to the first game between incontrol and Future. And it looks like we have Future starting in the upper right-hand corner in yellow. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have incontrol in brown. It's going to be a pretty fun matchup, simply because incontrol and Future kind of basically both players were hoping that opponents would be overlooking them, and that way they would be able to take down games. Future, he's a very good micro player early game, and he plays very, very well up to the first 10 minutes, but then after that, it seems like he has a hard time transitioning into the latter game. He's a very kind of old school player. He almost plays circa 2001-2002 with small unit micro and not really big game macro, and so as a result he tends to languish when it comes to the mid and late game. Incontrol, very good psychological player. He's good at multitasking and keeping players out of position. He's not a very good, and he's very creative actually. I think he comes up with very interesting builds, but unfortunately he's not a very good mechanics player, and he'll be the first one to admit that. He's usually very, very strong when it comes to multitasking, when doing multiple drops at multiple locations, catching opponents off guard. And he was basically saying he is the reigning World Cyber Games champion, and he was saying he took games last year, or I should say US champion, I wouldn't say overall champion. Koreans have been taking that for several years in a row. The reigning champion is currently Stork. Looks like we're going to see a 9 pool from incontrol, so he's going to be able to produce some early Zerglings. There's also a pylon on Future's front door, so it looks like he's going to go for a standard fast expand here. So he's going to put down a forge momentarily, and that's going to allow him to put down some cannons, so that's going to open up the secondary. But with these early Zerglings from incontrol, what the early Zerglings will do, so it looks like he's putting down gas so he can upgrade, basically invest in some speed for those Zerglings as well. That will force the those cannons as opposed to the secondary right off. If essentially Future with the scout, if he saw that there was a second hatchery going up, that incontrol was being a little bit more economical, he could put down a Nexus himself and take basically an economic lead at that stage, and kind of have control actually of the game overall. It looks like the gas is going to be mine, and as soon as he gets 100 gas, he's going to take those drones off and again invest in that spawning pool, get the speed upgrade, and then just continue the game from there. Anyway, as I was saying though, Future doesn't really go into the late game all that much. He tends to win games in the first 10 minutes. Incontrol really plays on the fact that opponents underestimate him, and that's how he said he won last year when everybody was expecting skew. He's saying, I was being overlooked, and I exploited that. I made my own luck in essentially those matchups. Looks like the Zergling's being produced now. Let's see if he produces additional Zerglings on side. Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to produce a drone there. This is going to be key, this probe scout. This probe needs to delay as long as possible so that additional pressure can't be put on that front door. It looks like incontrol actually taking out Lau, doing a little juke maneuver there. It looks like he pushed off. He's like, nope, I'm going to go to your front door, and then turned around when that probe turned around. Ended up killing that probe, and that's going to put Future in the dark. He's not going to have a lot of scouting information, and as a result, and additionally, because he's not delayed those Zerglings, he's going to have to pull these 3 probes off to help defend those cannons. The Zerglings are going to be able to push in. They're going to be able to do a lot of harassment. Future putting down a gateway, interestingly enough. I'm kind of confused by that maneuver. Putting down a gateway really quickly. It looks like incontrol is going to stop short. He's seeing the probe there. So he just wanted to make sure that Future's putting down those initial 2 cannons, but that gateway is 150 resources. That's not going towards a Nexus at this stage of the game. And Future still has these 3, keep in mind, these 3 probes still off the line. While they're off the line, they're not producing minerals. Future trying to get another scout out through the grab, but incontrol's there to deny it again. This is pretty standard Zerg versus Protoss play these days, is keep your opponent in the dark, and then from there, kind of establish the rest of the game. When your opponent doesn't know what you're doing, you have a huge advantage in StarCraft. And it looks like Future still has these 3 probes up front. He wants to make sure he can get at a Zealot, so then he can pull those 3 probes back and feel safe essentially. Still has those 6 Zerglings on the corner, bringing that probe back out to the secondary. Incontrol being a little bit greedy in the meantime. He's taking his natural secondary. He's also expanding the mineral only, playing a very big economic game, and it doesn't look like he's producing any additional Zerglings. He's going just straight drone production, so he's kind of an awesome economy momentarily. Future looks like he's managed to slip out, but very quickly getting hunted down. Those speed Zerglings just so strong. They just can rush throughout the map, and this is how things have gone. So incontrol off this 3 hatchery build, he's going to have a lot of options. He's got such a big economy. He can go Hydralisks, which tend to be very popular against Protoss these days, and I feel like he's been favoring Hydralisks overall in general, just because he isn't a big mechanics player, and that's not to say he never goes Mutalisks, but I think he tends to favor more Lurker play, especially because of the drop options that opens up. Still, these 2 probes, the Zealot is there, and these 2 probes still just hanging around the secondary, and that is minerals that's not being mined for Future. Wow. So he's kind of hurting. He's got that secondary up now, so he will be able to transfer probes. And once again, trying to send out a probe scout, and once again getting cut off from incontrol. It's just linebacker maneuvers here with those Zerglings. And the second expansion, another hatchery going down, and also an evolution chamber going down. So it looks like incontrol is just going to go some big Hydralisk play here. He's going to get that evolution chamber up. He could also go pure links if he decided to. He hasn't put down any additional gas. I don't see any additional. Looks like the drones are starting to mine here. You can still take up to lair and get that higher degree of tech. Still go Hydralisk, but he's going to really. It looks like he lost an Overlord in the meantime. Probably in this backfield, kind of carelessly, it looks like to a cannon. There were no Corsairs to kill that Overlord out of position. Citadel of Doom going down for Future in the meantime. So he's thinking about Templar tech or maybe some Zealot speed upgrade. But this is the key to the game at this stage, the Forge. Level 1 weapons is not being upgraded for Future, and in Zerg versus Protoss, the weapons advantage, the upgrades advantage is just absolutely huge. It's who has it, who doesn't have it. Teching to lair now, incontrol going very, very, very fast Carapace, and that's going to help his units out. His Zerglings in particular are going to be able to last longer against Future Zealots, and level 1 weapons, that's the one advantage that Protoss has at times against Zerg players, is they can get that level 1 weapons, and then Zerglings are two attack hits, and these days, just the style of Zerg versus Protoss play in this matchup, you really, really need that. And Future not getting that level 1 weapons upgrade is really going to cost him. And especially that additional Carapace, that's going to be very, very powerful for incontrol. Continuing to mine minerals here, and continuing, it looks like, to pump drones. He's just making an absolutely gigantic economy here. Teching to lair, there's a Hydralisk now. Probably going to go for some sort of Lurker push, Lurker Ling push here. And you got a Photon Cannon going in the backfield. This is the problem for Future. He has no idea what he's facing. He's thinking Mutalisks are coming. He's putting additional cannons in his back line. He's not going for robotics facility or observers. This is very intelligent play from incontrol. He saw that Citadel of Atune rather than the robotics facility, so he knew he wasn't going to be facing observers in the basically he was going to take a longer period of time to get observers. And additionally, Zealots are pretty safe even if he's going for that legs upgrade. Looks like some High Templar are being produced, so that's going to be the way that Future's going to be deciding to take care of those Lurkers should they come, is those High Templar. And also, it's kind of a mid combination. You can also morph these Templar. The question is if he puts them into an Archon. If he morphs an Archon, that really shows you that he was just purely expecting Mutalisks, and he was completely betting on that in the dark. Little bit of a safety something penalty there from incontrol. He's backing off. It looks like he has stopped producing drones. Now he's just morphing up all of the lings that he can make. He's also putting a Spire down. I think he was expecting maybe a Corsair back here from incontrol. He could additionally, he could switch to Mutalisk tech. I don't think he's going to though. And there's the Archon. You can see that Future was very much expecting some sort of Mutalisk build. The Zergling just checking that secondary. Incontrol didn't see basically he didn't see any sort of air being built, and Future still hasn't built, surprisingly, a Stargate to build a Corsair to get some of that scouting information. Very much playing in the dark. Now incontrol's using his Zerglings. He's going to scout around the map. He's seeing that there's nothing at the bottom right-hand corner. He's got some more Zerglings coming up. He's just going to push up and try to deny that secondary. Future's going to have to do something with just these with the units he has. He has managed finally to sneak out a probe scout. He's going to check that 12 o'clock location. Incontrol has an Overlord in the upper left-hand corner. He's just making sure that Future hasn't expanded on him. Wanted to make sure he is in fact at 2 paces at this stage of the game. And all sorts of cannons in the backfield. Future playing, and this is the thing, off just 2 bases like this, you want a bunch of gateways down at this stage of the game, and you want to just be pumping units. And Future, just supply-wise, we'll just kind of check it. He's at 159. It's basically even here, and when it's even, that's usually in the Zerg's advantage. So he's got, again, and he's just got all the units to deal with Mutalisks. Well, he can still deal with Lurkers, but he really can't push out of his base. He's very much locked in. Future now finally getting the scout, and he knows that this expansion's up. He might have gotten a look at those Lurkers. I'm not quite sure that if he had the angle on it, but I'm pretty sure he got a pretty good indication that Lurkers and Lings are in mix here. Now he's starting to push out. He has produced a Dark Templar. Incontrol getting a very good look, and he's already has a speed upgrade to track that Dark Templar down, so Future's not going to get any sort of advantage off that. Looks like an expansion going up in the upper left-hand corner for incontrol in the meantime, so he's got a huge economic advantage. And this just, I don't feel like this is a large enough troop grouping. As you can see, the Lurkers and the Lings bearing down, I don't feel like this is a large enough troop grouping, especially with no weapons one, to fight off these Lurkers without an observer alongside. Maybe Psystorm will be able to be in the equalizer here. There's a Psystorm, looks like it, wow, Psystorming his own Dark Templar, so taking a bit of damage. Did manage to screen out the Lings, but more reinforcements should be coming, and doesn't look like there's any Psystorm left. With no observers out in the field, Future's he's going to be denying this additional expansion. That pylon, in fact, is going to go down. We'll see. Future's got a robotics facility going up in the background. There's the robotics facility, just now getting observatory down, so he's not in a very good position at all. I feel like incontrol's very strong in this game. I think he now, just now getting weapons 1, he's got like 2/3 finished. In Control already has Carapace 1. We'll see if he's continuing. He's going for Melee 1 too, so he's going to go for probably an Ultra. Actually, no, he's going for the full Gambit here. He's putting down 3 Evolution Chambers, going for the full upgrades and taking the Hive immediately. He's got the 3 gas. He's got map control, putting down all sorts of additional hatcheries. Wow. He's just going to go probably Lurker, Ling, Hydra combinations across the middle of the map. He's very possibly Lurker, Ling. He's got all 3 upgrades across the board. He can upgrade Spines. He can get the additional upgrades to go with the Zerglings to get the additional melee attack. He can also go probably Defilers once his Hive Tech goes up. And then with that Lurker Ling combo, it's just going to be really hard for Future to stop, especially with his economy in shambles like it is. 75 supply here versus 84 supply on the opposite side, so it looks like he has managed to catch up a little bit, at least in that regard, but he's had to just invest in additional units because he hasn't gotten this additional expansion. In Control's had full control of the map, and In Control in the meantime producing the Scourge to pick off those observers as they're kind of pushing out in the field. Zealot starting to stream down midfield. In Control taking just expanding all over the map, taking the 12 o'clock location. Looks like he's got something in position to, looks like he Overlord screen actually is 6 o'clock. Might have gone for drop. I'm not sure if that Overlord's just doing some additional scouting. Might be checking that bottom right-hand corner. Zealot's starting to push out just for a bit of information here, seeing the Scourge up in the air. And still In Control. This is not a very sturdy contain. He does have the Scourge there. This is more just to make sure that he knows when Future decides to push out to retake things. But honestly, at Future at this stage, looks like he's having some reinforcement problems on his front door, killing a cannon there. Can't get his Dragoons through even. He now has an Observer. He might go for an attack here, knowing that he's so far behind. Just upgraded weapons 1, so if he's doing it, he's going to go now. So yeah, now he's starting to push out. We'll see if he stops it. He's got to, I have to assume he's just going to barrel down here. Barrel down momentarily, simply because and all sorts of Zerglings being produced alongside. And there, right there, is the Ultralisk Cavern. So going for Ultralisks rather than Defilers here. And he's got the gas. You have to assume he's going to do that considering how much gas he's grabbing. He's got all the gas in the world to do that with. All he has to do is weather this storm, make sure, and in Future expanding at the same time. No, he's putting down a pylon. I'm sorry. Let's see if he starts pushing down with this attack force. This is Future's last chance. If Future can break In Control's front door and take the entire game with this attack grouping, he will in fact take the game. But honestly, I just do not see it with the amount of hatcheries that In Control has down, and especially with that level 2, that level 1 weapons, that level 1 Carapace. He's got it equated. He's got just all sorts of attack units he can create. He can just produce a lot more troops, and he's about at even supply. This is a very Dragoon-heavy army, so expecting more, I guess, Ultralisks and things like that, and there was nothing to protect that Dragoon right there. And In Control, this is what he's classic for, is when you are out of position, he will attack your main. When he feels like you are weak, that you do not have units to defend, he will make you pay for it. This is exactly what he's doing. He's going to deny this second expansion once again with the Zerglings. Going to sacrifice his 12 o'clock. He really doesn't care about it. He's got bases all over the place at this stage of things, and now he's just going to careen down with the Zerglings he's got. A little bit, as you can see, a little bit streamlined in there, so not really grouped as well as he wanted to, and running into a lot of cannons. Looks like he's got that adrenal. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't think he's got that adrenal gland upgrade quite yet. That's probably happening momentarily. Let's check on the. I don't see it actually upgrading. Level 2 Carapace and level 1 Spines going to just help those Lurkers out. So Lurker Ling combination being very powerful here. And Ultralisks are going to be here momentarily. As you can see, I gotta assume that there's Ultralisks that are morphing alongside as soon as there's supply there available. 120 supply versus 122, and there's going to be a big shift on that momentarily. Future's got his entire attack force here. Some beautiful storms there taking out, but the Observer's down now, and so without the storms, beautiful pick off there by In Control, moving up that Scourge to take out that Observer. So now those Lurkers completely undetectable, going to be able to push back and pinning that troop grouping in. Looks like there was one Sty Storm left, managed to kill some Zerglings, but not before they could get in proximity with those Dragoons. Templar going to get picked off. That was all of Future's attack force, and Future is just out of options at this stage of the game. He's getting hunted down. He's not been able to expand. In Control has controlled this game from the beginning until the end, really, just with that. And you can just see, he just played it very, very well. It's been commented. Basically, the tactics on Blue Storm have been known for quite some time now, and Future just, he has this expansion going up, but he does not have the units to really defend it. Looks like In Control is going to just kind of add hurt on top of that and expand to the 6 o'clock location while continuing with the harass. What I'm surprised, though, is we don't have Ultralisks. There's the Ultralisks greening down. Looks like we have a Doom Drop moving up here for In Control. Yeah, he's got the full upgrade gambit here. He's got probably level 2 Carapace already. There's level 2 Carapace versus level 1 weapons. And we'll see basically with the delay on level, wow, just finished. Level 2 weapons just finished there for Future. And so scouting at the 12 o'clock location, he's going to basically be able to see what he's up against. Zergling's coming through, and this is interesting from In Control. He's going to kind of loop around from behind and allow the Zealots to be pinned back against those Zerglings. And then the Ultralisks are going to be able to careen in from the opposite direction, basically this. And I think there's a Doom Drop in, I think all these are probably filled with units, probably going to be setting up for a Doom Drop as well. A lot of those Lings getting killed with that Size Drone, which is very nice. And that's really generally what you want to do. Make sure that your Dragoons aren't getting basically pinned down. You want your Zealots to screen against those Zerglings and against those Ultralisks, and then hit on the Ultralisks with those Dragoons. But it's just not enough Dragoons and not enough Zealots here. Future getting completely pinned back. He's going to lose this expansion once again. Those Zerglings are now crackling upgraded. They've got the Adrenal Gland, and they're really well upgraded here. So with the upgrade advantage, actually I would say it's the upgrade evenness, although In Control has more upgrades across the board with those Lurkers as well. In Control's basically in full control of this game, true to his name, and a drone's now being transferred to this 12 o'clock location. Once again, 6 o'clock location looks like it's mining for him. As you can see, it's essentially a lot of producing bases versus Future's not producing bases. His main's looking very thin. His secondary is very thin, and Future's going to have to GG there because In Control just controls the entire map, has the entire economy, and is just brutalizing things all the way across the board. And it looks like there might have been a little bit of a hint of a. I've got to assume that there was probably a drop coming alongside owning In Control at this stage of the game. Not that he even needed it at this stage. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, thank you for listening, and this has been Diggity with the World Cyber Games coverage. Hey guys, welcome to Game 2 between Future and In Control. And In Control actually had to restart this because In Control is doing something a little bit unorthodox here. Future is going orange Protoss in the bottom left-hand corner on Troy. In Control is also going Protoss, oddly enough, which is absolutely insane. Standardly a Zerg player, the current US champion for WCG as a Zerg player, but going Protoss instead. Perhaps that's because of the map selection, because this is Troy. Perhaps he's just showing a little bit of disrespect here to Future. He's saying basically, I can beat you heads up. I really feel like this is playing a little bit into Future's playstyle though. Future, again, a very good micro player. Tends to try to win within the first 10 minutes, doesn't like really pushing into the first, I would say, 7-8 minutes, and then tries to push it from there. Just, I don't know. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, kind of odd. This is Troy, and if you guys aren't familiar with it, let me show you kind of the key feature here. It's this right here. It's these assimilators. This pylon is right next to those assimilators, so gateways can go down near that assimilator. I'm surprised he didn't put it on the outside like In Control has on the opposite end, because you really want to protect these. If one of these gets taken down, then only small units can exit, and essentially Zealots are medium units, I believe. I don't think they can fit through once one of the assimilators is taken down. If both assimilators are taken down, only Ghosts can fit through at that stage of the game. Reavers tend to be very, very important on this map, as does air control in that regard in general. There's the gateway down for Future. There's an expansion, if you can follow my green arrow right there, kind of alongside on each side of the base. So you can drop off probes and kind of go air and do things like that. That's kind of, I guess that's what I'm going to be expecting on this map, is most likely a 2-gate, which we're seeing here, probably into Observatory, into Reavers, into something like that. But we might see some mix. We might see a mix simply because In Control is a very creative player, and Future again doesn't want it really to go standard, doesn't want to be a very late game sort of stage thing. So 2 gateways down here. For Future as well, a little bit behind In Control, but not by a large margin here, not significant enough to essentially win him the game. But and In Control in a very aggressive posture as well. So it looks like he's setting up these gateways so he can push Zealots, put on pressure, and maybe take down his secondary as well. So as you can see, he's got it set up so he can take his Nexus and have gateways right alongside. Setting out it looks like Future's sending a scout back actually. So he scouted In Control's base. He's sending his scout back. Maybe he wants to make sure that In Control can't see what's happening inside of his base. He wants to try to rush to that assimilator and block that gap. I'm not sure that he needed to bring his probe back to do that. We'll see if there's a Zealot. There is a Zealot coming out. So yeah, he's bringing that probe scout back. But that Zealot's already in position, so it wasn't exactly needed. But In Control, because the probe scout got in, he's like, In Control's like, I know where he is now. Unfortunately for In Control, what I think he did is I think he went straight across the map. I wasn't paying attention to the direction the scout are going, which was actually very significant. Sent the scout to the upper left-hand corner, and I think might have then turned around and gone to the right. So I don't think he's got a scout off in his base. And In Control bringing up Zealots alongside to attack with that probe. But again, the shorter resupply route, he's not going to be able to get a lot done with this. So Future didn't go Dragoons. He went to the 2-gate. In Control now knows it because of the amount of Zealots that's coming out of his base. But G5, or I'm sorry, incontrol going to continue to try to put pressure on Future here. So 3 Zealots and a Probe alongside, and this is, again, I feel like this is playing a little bit. Future, though, has his Zealots spread out. He didn't have them in a very good position. Maybe that was intentional to try to pick off this this Probe. Basically separate the Probe from the rest of the Zealots, and he did in fact do that and kill it, but again, the short resupply line, now 3 Zealots versus 4, incontrol does have another one coming across the map shortly. He's going to back off momentarily to try to get that involved in the fight. Didn't allow too many free hits, and Future has that Zealot out of position. He's going to lose some free hits, every little bit matters, and he's going to take base damage, as you can see. Very, very weak Zealot there. So even it's almost like, 3.5 Zealots, because as you see how long that Zealot lasted in that attack force, and that can be the difference just between reinforcements coming out on the map. So Future having those Zealots kind of out of position, coming back, maybe a little bit unlucky, in fact, in that regard. And incontrol continuing with this pressure. We'll see what he's doing in his base in the meantime. He does have his assimilator up. He's getting a cybernetic score, so he's going to push up tech. He hasn't put down a Nexus. And in the meantime, Future putting down 2 additional gateways. He's going to go for an all-out Zealot slot. He's doing 4-gate Zealot. So he's assuming essentially that incontrol, not being very familiar with Protoss play, is not going to be able to withstand this 4 Zealot push. Really what I think he was ultimately hoping was that incontrol had expanded or had stopped Zealot production altogether. But unfortunately, incontrol's doing something very, very strong against this sort of build. He's going for upper level tech, and Reavers, this is very risky on Future's part. We'll see if it's Reavers or Dark Templar. There you go, it's Citadel of Dune, so it'll most likely be Dark Templar. The Dark Templar are going to have an easy time taking these Zealots out because Future's not going to have any detection. And you can see without that scouting information that incontrol a little bit confused, so he put down that Forge as well, just thinking maybe he was going to get DT dropped. But Future's starting to pump all of those Zealots. He's still somehow outnumbered, even though he has a huge amount of gateways pumping Zealots at this stage of the game. Maybe he just wanted to draw it off. He probably held some Zealots back, didn't want to reveal his hand here. But I don't see a lot of Zealots kind of in waiting. He's having a kind of bad supply problems. And right there, engaging in that fight, those Zealots having to run around the back, that's free hits that incontrol's getting in the meantime. You want to have your Zealots in kind of a straight marching line as they're approaching the enemy. 3 getting stopped back there, and just 2 Zealots continuing the attack, and that's again free hits as they're coming back out of position. So Future's not going to be able to do a lot with this 4 gateway Zealot push. Almost said 4 gateway Dragoon push, because that tends to be more stereotypical. Not able to do it here, and the Zealot's getting pushed off, and now there's Dragoons in the mix as well. So Future's going to have to do some amazing micro to essentially win this game. And some cannons also going down basically to help stem this onslaught. So take it back, G5 actually knew that he had predicted essentially that this 4 Zealot push was coming. So he put down those cannons to assist in this attack. Probes off the line to help attack against these Zealots. And we'll see. I'm not sure that the Templar Archives is quite out. The Templar Archives is up. So a lot of this attack will be foiled with these Dark Templars spawning. So all incontrol has to do is hold off this attack, which it looks like he has in fact done, and the Dark Templar will do the rest. I don't think Future has, I'm not sure how long it's going to be before he gets any sort of tech up. He's got to know that he's in a bad position now. He's got to get and this cybernetic score just not going down. That is horrible. Future has essentially lost this game. Those Dark Templar are going to be pushing up all the way into his base, and the robotics facility is going to be so far behind. Basically, the text tree he has to go here is he's got to go from the cybernetic score to the robotics facility to the observatory, and Dark Templar are now out in the field. And I guess Future, what he's going to try to do to make up for this is try to push up. What he's really got to do is he's got to block his front door. If he can just block his front door, but even then he's going to be taking free hits on his assimilator. And once he loses that assimilator, he's going to be boxed in. So, unfortunately, Future, now as you can see, backpedaling back to his base. Maybe he can get some detection out. He's going to try to blockade. The question is now what does incontrol decide to do? And it looks like he's going to just kill those Zealots. He's just going to clear that front door and go in and massacre probes. Those Zealots, this is exactly what... he's going to kill those Zealots, go in and just massacre absolutely everything. The Forge, probably, there is a Forge down in the background, as you can see, cannons being surrounded by Future's probes. He needs to get some sort of detection up. He realized it, but these cannons, not up in time, getting taken down by those Dark Templar, and and just suffering all sorts of economic damage. This is basically in Control's hands, essentially. Even those cannons are not—they're not providing detection for his entire base. Now in Control immediately pushing off, and he's going to take down the assimilators at the front door. He's going to limit Future's ability to essentially move units out of his base. Future in a very bad position. He's trying to get additional cannons down because he knows he doesn't want to just sit around protecting that single cannon. But yeah, you really need mobile detection to deal with Dark Templars. Future's, I'm not going to say completely out of this game. No, I'm going to say it at this point. Future's completely out of this game. In Control has full map control. Future's had to plop cannons down, essentially, so G5's tech, and he's still got Dark Templar roaming around here that are still going to get free hits on columns. I'm surprised that G5's not just, and he's going to go after the gas here to make sure that mobile detection can't be created, knowing that there's no detection covering that at the moment. So Future in a very, very bad position. He's going to be denied gas as well. And sorry again about the background noise. I am casting this at the World Cyber Games. Trying to push off, trying to take care of these zealots, but yeah, the game is completely out of hand. I'm surprised that Future has not GG'd at this stage of the game. In Control is just absolutely, yeah, he has firm control of this map, and we'll see what he decides to do. It looks like he's upgrading Dragoon range. He's got a robotics facility going from the background, so he's probably going to go Reavers at this stage and expanding at the same time. He's got a lot of Dragoons up in the field. Looks like Future's trying to put a cannon down so he can reestablish his gas, but yeah, and losing gateways out in the field in the meantime. Future's just bleeding tech here. He's bleeding supply. He's bleeding his base, his units, everything. And there's just not anything he's going to be able to do at this stage of the game. And as you can see, you can hear the yelling in the background, a little bit distracting for me. Let's check the supply count as well. 50 supply versus 34 supply. That kind of tells you the story of the game at this stage. And in Control, in the meantime, let's see if he dropped off. I don't see a shuttle being produced yet. There's the shuttle. He can just drop off a probe, like on the corner. Some cannons going down, I guess, just protectively, just in case he's facing a counter DT drop, getting an observatory up, getting a robotics facility up right after the observatory. So he just wants to make sure he gets a spot on Future, keeps an eye on what it's doing. Dark Templar still pushing in, still finding places where they can hit, where there's no detection after cleaning up those gateways to the north. Going to be able to take out the cybernetics score momentarily. There is a shuttle up, at least for Future, but that shuttle is not going to. That shuttle is not going to be able to really do anything. They're putting some zealots up in there, but once they get back to the back is not going to be able to do anything. A little bit of a Dark Templar taking hit there, but that Templar Archives is going to be taken out. G5 in the meantime expanding to the 3 o'clock location. And it looks like he's also getting weapons one alongside. He's essentially got this game inside. Looks like he's gone for speed on that shuttle. I'm sorry, that's not the speed upgraded shuttle. Way too early for speed. Completely. There's the speed upgrade on the shuttle going in the background. Getting ahead of myself. It's been a long day. Observer now popping out, so he's just going to make sure that additional spend. Now comes the kind of a desperation drop with 4 zealots in it for Future. I think this is going to be the last hurrah, but In Control was already prepared for this. He's already got cannons in the back of the base. 3 cannons in the back of the base to deal with this drop. And honestly, if Future's not careful, he's not even going to be able to drop his units. And there's already zealots in position as well. He also got some Dark Templar out there. I actually didn't see the Dark Templar in the shuttle. I was just misreading the units there because of the damage on them. But in detection already out observers. This is basically the only way Future can get back into it, is going Dark Templar and maybe hoping to get lucky. But In Control was already in position to beat it. And this is, and Probe's getting killed. This is somewhat embarrassing here for Future, losing to In Control on an off race, and specifically losing to him on his own race, essentially. In Control beating Future at his own game at this stage. And now robotics facility going up, second robotics facility going up. So maybe just going to start pushing, and there's the robotics support base, so maybe just going to push Reavers, try to get speed of his own, and just try to ferry out as many units as possible to do it there. But honestly, In Control's going to have this shuttle speed upgrade momentarily. He's got 3 bases. He's got 73 supply versus Future's 45 supply. And again, this is exactly where Future has a really hard time. So Future's not very good late game, but he's going to fight to the very last. I've got to give him that that shuttle alongside is going to be able to drop alongside. It's going to grab those minerals. It's going to mine those minerals and grab that expansion alongside. But it's just too little too late at this stage. incontrol just, again, has full map control. He's even putting down some unnecessary cannons and going stargates. And we'll see if he could go scouts at this stage, and he would still be able to do something with the scouts. And he's not even bothering to seal himself in. 3 stargates. In fact, I don't see any 4 stargates. No, sorry, that's a pylon. But yeah, 3 stargates. I haven't seen any, sorry about that, support tech in the background. Hopefully we can edit that out. And he's, if not, oh well, sorry guys. Maybe some support tech in the background, so I think he is just going to start building some scouts up there. incontrol taking another expansion there along that cliffside, and the Dragoons just kind of looks like they're in isolation along the corner, now starting to start marching back to incontrol's base. incontrol has full control of this game. He's got observers just kind of scouting things out at this stage. Future, I think he knows he's lost. He's still only at 2 gateways. At 2 gateways at 13 minutes. At least, hey, 13 minutes, 37 seconds. He's loaded up with 2 Reavers. So maybe hoping to do something fast. I don't think he's got. There's the speed. It's still upgrading. So maybe he's got to do something miraculous here, and he's going to have to do it to fend. He's going to have to fend off incontrol's Reaver there, and that Reaver getting wiped out and not really doing anything in the meantime. But yeah, incontrol just kind of building everything, and he is in fact building scouts at the 3 o'clock position. Just going to humiliate Future at this stage here. Bringing up Dragoons just to make sure he can create a contain as well. But yeah, 91 supply versus 73. This is just kind of. I'm surprised that Future has not GG'd, and I do expect him to GG momentarily. Because even right here, he's sending out another probe just so he can, I don't know, put down some cannons or something there. But it's just too little, too late. He's only got 2 gateways. He's going to rely entirely on 3 Reavers, and he's not even going to load up that Dragoon alongside. 3 Reavers is not going to bring him back in this game. Ultimately, starting to push out now, and additionally the Scout's going to be able to handle the Reavers and the shuttles as well. So there it is, and the shuttles actually, it looks like incontrol shuttles. There initially were pinned, but now going offside. It looks like he did scout that off and now running into the scouts, and that's going to be GG right there from Future. Just wanted to drop those Reavers off before GGing. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, thanks for listening. incontrol is going to advance out of this group in very strong position, and doing it with Protoss, which is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, hope you guys have been enjoying the World Cyber Games thus far, and a lot of good games coming up. Thanks.